Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Ruby Brackets for the Chronicle Community Cup. This is, of course, a community-hosted event featuring some of RuneScape Chronicle's first ever competitive players, of course, still in closed beta. This game is at the time of recording. And lots to come with this game, very excited about it, and hoping to see more of it in the future, especially in the tournament scene. It's going to be very, very exciting, and yeah, absolutely. So for those of you that don't know, Ruby Brackets, basically what that means in your traditional tournament format is, the round of 16, which is 16 players all going against each other, and of course half of them will be eliminated and they'll go to the round of 8, where we'll rinse and repeat until we get a winner. But that does mean, that still quite a lot of rounds to go in this tournament, so quite exciting, lots to go. But best of 5, all the players today have been playing best of 5 series, and the winners will be, of course, progressing. Now, best of 5 is effectively first to 3 wins, and in this particular tournament, each win must be with a separate legend. Meaning that you have to know multiple legends, and the idea behind this was that it was good as a viewing experience, but also it encourages knowledge for people who are very good at multiple legends, rewards them for that, and I think that's important in a competitive setting, in a tournament setting, for a card game such as this one. So it's going to be good. Next up, we've got Madly vs Frumple. We've had some really good games so far. I've been really pleased with what we've been seeing. Madly vs Frumple. These win rates, again, looking pretty high. We've seen some high caliber players in terms of win rates, at least, throughout this tournament, and that spells for a good game, right?
Yeah, definitely. It should be an interesting game. Both of these players seem to have pretty damn good win rates. We see Mastrfrumple coming in there with quite a balanced sort of win rate throughout all 4 legends, while as Madly's got a decent win rate in Ozan and a very high win rate in Raptor and Lindsay.
Yeah, I think so as well. And, Mastrfrumple, I've seen a lot of this guy. I have queued him to myself a lot on ladder. I've seen him in casual. I've just seen him playing Chronicle a lot. And, clearly is skilled with all of these legends here, which is an important thing in this format. So, as I mentioned, you have to win different each time you win a game. It disables the legend you won with. So the fact that he's, comfortable with these 4 legends is good. And even when you only have to win with 3 of them, being comfortable with 4 is very important. I experienced in my own tournament games that my incompetence with Raptor, as I'd only ever played 2 games with it in ranked, meant that I wasn't able to pick Raptor, even though I knew Raptor would be a good pick versus what my opponent had remaining to him. So here that he just has the options to go with whichever legend he feels like on the fly, whichever he thinks is good, if he knows the matchups well and what to expect from his opponent. So I think Mastrfrumple, I think he might be favoured for this, but we'll have to see what this produces. Are you ready to get into it, Zelks?
Definitely. It's time to duel.
Alright, opening legends is always the fun thing. So we'll have to see. What do you think? We'll see.
I'm hoping for some Ariane action. A nice mirror should be good.
Yeah, we'll have to see. That's certainly Mastrfrumple's strongest class. Actually, well, one of his strongest classes. And yeah, we'll have to see. So clicking in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Alright, so Madly challenging his opponent here. And probably the reason I left this part of the recording in was just to sync it up with his opponent. But let's take a look at what deck he picks, right? He has the option here. Raptor and Ariane are the ones he's hovering over, currently on Raptor deck, which he's named Tawny 1. Of course, worth mentioning at this point that you cannot run any diamond cards in your deck for this tournament, as when we first started the tournament, it was quite early on in the beta, and there were some lucky people who managed to get diamonds, and not everyone had them, so it felt unfair to let them. Now a lot of people do have them. It would be fairer, that rule could be lifted, but to keep things consistent, not going to do that. Does look like, though, we do get the Ariane mirror matchup, Zelks. Like you said.
I'm actually pretty happy with that predict, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, nicely done.
Yeah, it should be a good match. I'm looking forward to seeing this one played out.
And they're definitely good classes to open with, right? Yeah. I think the editing here was because of the recording. It was a poor recording. So this is actually, most of Chapter 1 has just been skipped. We now see Mastrfrumple on 10 life? Wow, that was quick.
Yeah, that's interesting. As you can see, the recording seems a bit jittery for me. I don't know about you.
Yeah, that's the recording, not my stream. I'm not dropping frames. That was the recording I was sent, and I think because he was recording and loading in the game at the same time, it was lagging a bit. But sadly, we missed half of Chapter 1. But by the looks of it, Mastrfrumple
Yeah.
going first and at a 10 health disadvantage here does run Lady Heffens in his deck, which is very good in this matchup if you have the cards in hand. But by the looks of it, only going to get 4 health out of that for 3 gold.
Yeah.
That's like trash tier level heal.
I wouldn't have played it. Well, actually, it depends. He's on 10 health. There's not much he can really do. I mean, the 3 gold loss is quite big, but he just getting it back from the Infernal Mage.
Yeah, he's not going to play it by the looks of it.
Yeah, just in case anyone is wondering, we are live casting over pre-recorded videos for this this bracket here. So if you do see issues like this, where we do end up skipping a little bit of the chapters, that's just based on the recordings we got sent.
Oh, double Wind Surge coming in there from Madley. Does pick up game number 1 by the looks of it there. But I respect Frumple's decision to keep the Heffen in hand because, of course, it looks like there was a Melzar the Mad played. I see a cabbage down the other end of the board.
There is.
Yeah.
So it must have been a Melzar on chapter 1 from Frumple.
Yeah, so
Explains
that
why it
would
took a bit more damage.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? And why his opponent had more health than perhaps he did, because
Definitely.
that Melzar, good card, and we've seen that in this series, very very effective. But in these aggressive matchups where the opponent doesn't really care about what the hell is going on? Oh, never mind.
Yeah, you're completely right. Like with Ariane and it's aggressive meta, it makes complete sense.
Yeah,
but
when you're feeling
surge though.
Double Wind Surge, yeah, nice pick up there. I'm not sure if he had a Haunted Book or if he just managed to find them. Either way, does use them to pick up the game. Yeah, but as I was saying, the Melzar the Mad is not so good in the aggressive matchups because they often play out their entire hand anyway and don't run that much draw. So the effect that Melzar you want to have, they don't end up experiencing, and the cabbages just sit there all game and doesn't actually hurt their hand that much. And in an Ariane deck, Melzar doesn't really do gold generation or damage particularly well, unless you combo with the Yoga Shaman. But even then, that's a conditional sort of setup. And it doesn't do either of those two things well, which is what Ariane wants, either gold draw or damage dealing, and Melzar doesn't do either of those things effectively in an aggressive matchup. But yes, as Zalt mentioned, this is all pre-recorded games, largely because there are so many of them, and there's no way I could schedule 16 players to be here all at once to do it live. When we get to the round of 8, perhaps we can do that, maybe the round of 4 as well. We'll see, but for the time being, this is the only feasible way we can bring you all the games in a single sitting, and that's the reason behind that, I suppose. But a quick game number 1 going to Mastrfrumple.
Yep. So shall we jump straight into game 2?
Yeah, there's not much to say. We didn't see the early game of that one, sadly. But we did deduce that it might have been the Melzar that he took some damage from. But ultimately, yes, Frumple won, and I am ready for game 2 as well.
Great. Where on you are, but like you said, it was an Ariane versus Ariane, so I expected a quick game.
Yeah, they are always quick games, yeah. Yes. Both players sacrificing their own life to deal damage. Yeah, it's like Hunter versus Warlock from Hearthstone. It reminds me of.
Yeah, exactly. That's basically it.
Yeah,
or Super Paladin.
It's not that at all, really, but yeah. All right, are we ready for game number 2?
Yep.
All right, starting in 3, 2, 1. This recording is a lot better. Go. All right, so let's take a look at what deck he cues in with. Looks like he's going to go for Ariane again.
Yep.
Yeah, of course, Mastrfrumple did lose. Yeah, it was Mastrfrumple. Well, clearly he lost because he wouldn't be playing Ariane.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was Mastrfrumple. What am I talking about? The diamonds are on screen. Yeah, so, against Raptor, let's take a look. Wind Surge popping in, gonna be quite happy about that.
Oh, there's the Melzar.
Melzar gonna be much more effective in this matchup, right? And a Penguin Sheep, which tells me there are cards in his deck which require gold, like, MLG Storm and perhaps an Earth Wave, those kind of things. Looks like he's going to look for I imagine looking for sort of those griefing cards like Fern if he has them, and if certainly the Archmage Segregator is going to be very good in this matchup, and chose to keep that Melzar the Mad as well.
Yes, exactly. Now, given the fact that he's going against a Raptor, would you then play Archmage Segedon on turn 2? Going straight for it, as I said there. Anyway.
Yeah, I would. If you're going first, it would hit his slot 2. I might even put it in slot 3. I'm tempted to do that now because often something like double KGP or KGP agent into or White Wolf into Monolith Chamber is something players will often do, and then. Well, the point is, I think slot 3 can be very good. We'll have to see here. We don't have the opponent's hand, it's worth pointing out, because I was only sent 1 copy of the game. So we only have this perspective, so there's no opening hand for the opponent. So we don't know. This Archmage could hit anything, right, Snilks?
Definitely, that's completely right. This Archmage could hit anything from a kind of a KPG agent into a Void Brawler, a Crassian. Yeah. You see very big cards coming. Oh, it looks like he might be open roading though.
Open roading. Okay, well he dodges the He dodges the Archmage Segredor. And what this tells me about Madley's hand is that it's very bricked. He has a lot of unplayable cards, very big things like perhaps Dagonoth Sentinels and Jads and these big creatures that you can't kill until you've gone through your early game. 1 KGP agent at the end there.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder why he put it at the end of all places. I mean, there's no harm in playing at the beginning, is there?
There's not any harm in playing it at the beginning because you get it out safely. But what this does do, playing it at the end, is plays around stuff like Ogre Brute. And is that true? No, because you'd still have one attack. It plays around double Ogre Brute, I suppose, which is
interesting.
And staggers, and that's worth pointing out, I suppose. But aside, does discard a cabbage?
Yeah, I was gonna say the interesting note there. It does this. I mean, then again, he did see Melzar last turn, so if he was expecting that, if that's the case, then that's fair enough.
Yeah, he discarded the cabbage. Can't argue with results. Maybe that was his plan, and ultimately he took 3 damage from it.
I think it was 3 damage. Yeah,
3 damage.
It's not at all a big issue. I mean, mind you, looking at Mastrfrumple's hand, he's got a lot of damage output right now. He's got a Wind Surge in there. He's got the Enfeeble for the Ogre Chieftain or the
Yeah, this, very strong play, right? Lots of damage coming out. Another Archmage Segredor. I'm not sure if I'd play the Archmage Segredor here. Because
I would have probably played Wind Surge.
Yeah, perhaps that, because extra damage, lots of damage, hit them hard. And the reason I say that, no Archmage, is because, his opponent didn't play anything last turn. And he filled his hand up with cabbages, meaning that he won't have any new draws. And he's likely not going to be playing anything. Because if he didn't play anything last turn, why would he have anything this turn? Especially when the cabbages were in his hand, blocking new draws. Does look like he has a preparation, though. So this explains the lack of cards coming out last turn. Things like preparation, not a card you see often in Raptor, but certainly a good one. Going to get 3 gold off that, ready for his Monolith Chamber, and nice to combo with some of the big creatures like Transient Warrior and Void Brawler and Jad and stuff like that in the Raptor decks, right?
Interestingly enough, the Archmage did land a hit on the Void Brawler, so that means he's going to take 13 health damage.
Yeah, wow, that's a huge amount.
That is the game.
Is it? Yeah, he's going to take 8 plus 5, and
it's completely the game.
He's got a 5 plus 4 is 9 damage from that Ogre Brute. That's exact. Well,
7.
It's a bit more than enough damage to kill him. So
just 2 over. So that Archmage Segedar, oddly enough, did give him the win.
Yeah, it did. But I think Wind Surge would have still given him the win as well. So either play was fine there. But Madley off to a bad start by the looks of it. I think that could be a facet of running things like the preparation that was in his deck. Though from Madley I do expect an optimized deck, and it is unfortunate that he drew that. And what it meant was that he didn't have the early attack to get going, and he didn't wasn't then able to get into the mid game where you can start healing with Coloromancers and those Count Draenors and those things like that let you stabilize versus Ariane.
Yeah, you're completely right there. I mean, it was an interesting game though. I mean, both did play well. I mean, that open road plus the Melzar, which did block him, I think, an extra draw in the end or 2, did kind of cause some issues, I think, from Madley right there.
Yeah, and that resulting in Mastrfrumple. I like Mastrfrumple's tech choice of the Ogre. What is it? The Ogre Chieftain. I think a lot of players toss that up between Ogre Chieftain and Yoga Shaman. Both are very strong cards that kind of dependent on what you're seeing a lot of. If you're seeing a lot of these sort of slower decks, then Yoga Shaman very good because it punishes your opponent for holding a big hand. But if your opponent's stacking attack gain throughout the course of the game, then certainly the Chieftain very, very strong against Raptor. And Raptor often has a small hand. They open with KGP agents, and in their opening hand they look for that attack. They're looking for early game attack cards like Void Brawler and KGP agent and Monolith Chambers. They're not looking for the card draw. It's less important to them. Certainly still important, but they don't often draw cards at a chapter because they're looking for these other cards, and they can't sack. Their mulligan is focused around that, and the KGP agents get rid of cards. So Yoga Shaman not quite as good against Raptor. So these chieftains really like to see that there. Maybe he also runs Yogas. I'm not sure. Certainly runs Melzar the Mad in that Ariane deck, and that combo is very, very well with Yoga, right?
That's completely right. But yeah, shall we move on to the third game?
We shall. We can do that, absolutely. Just pointing out again that these games, we only have one perspective, as I was not sent the other one, sadly. But the score is currently
1-1.
1-1.
Yep. I'm just going to quickly chime in there. If anyone's looking at the stats on screen, the loss rate is incorrect, and that's my fault. I've accidentally edited the wrong ones there. But the win rate is correct, so I'm sure you can do the math.
Oh, 58% wins and 52% losses. Madly. Wow. That is
Yeah,
wow.
I just realized that myself. It was the last one I was editing, I think, as well. So when I've done it up, I forgot to change the loss rates, which, as you can see, there has contributed to a over 100% chance. So
wow.
yeah,
That's pretty impressive, I must admit, Madly. Not many players have over over 100% combined win-loss rate. All right, let's get into game number 3, though. Are you ready, Zalx?
yeah, I'm completely ready.
All right, let's start in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Queuing in to game number 3 here. Looks like we do have a Linza mirror coming out, of course.
Another mirror.
Yeah, Mastrfrumple can no longer play his Ariane, and Madly can no longer play the Raptor. Is that correct?
No, he's Ariane as well.
Oh, is that so? Both Ariane's disabled.
Yeah.
But, never mind. Anyway, Linza coming out here. Stack of Sharks, an interesting card. I'm tempted to see how well this kind of card performs now that Fishing Trawler has been changed. I'm tempted to think it's not that good, but I could be proven wrong, and I'm happy to see it in the deck. Perhaps Mastrfrumple has tested it and does like it. We'll see. But again, not going to keep it in his opening hand. Not something he wants there. But does find the Ogre Brute out. Look at that.
Exactly. I was going to say that Ogre Brute, obviously, turn 1 player regardless. Even against the Linza mirror, still very, very strong. Could end up costing a Linza an extra weapon charge or 2, which doesn't proc effects.
Yeah.
It's a very, very strong card.
Oh, it's so good in slot 1 if you're going first as a Linza against another Linza, because it just... Yeah, look at that Dust Devil. It's not going to resolve now. That opponent's Dust Devil is completely useless. 2 cards for no effect. And that was you know, that can sometimes be, it's not something you have to play around very often, but can happen. It's worth pointing out, you know, if he had, this still works if Mastrfrumple was going second as well, because you know
yeah, it just goes to show the power of Ogre Brute.
And the work order as well.
Very strong card.
Yeah.
Very strong. And the work order, yeah. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, no weapon with that work order, but still, +2 health to an enemy minion is certainly worth paying for. Well, you don't pay anything for it. In fact, you get paid to do it. You get 1 gold.
Exactly.
So that card pretty good. Has been changed, I believe. It now is a spend effect, but at the time of recording was not. So, you know, very interesting to play a tournament whilst balance changes are happening all around. I think that rewards players who are good at the game, because, you know, they'll adapt to the changes quicker, or they'll understand what the implications of the changes are more than other players more quickly, and I think that's a very, very interesting facet of running a tournament right now, so pleased to see that.
Completely right.
Yeah. Going into Chapter 2 with 1 attack and 7 gold, though. 7 gold, we'll have to see what he makes of it. Of course, we can't see Madly's hand. We can only see Frumple's hand, so 7 gold, quite a lot of gold, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're looking at it right now. That's a fair amount of gold. It's enough to buy an SGS if he wanted to, assuming he runs it. So it should be an interesting match. But given that it's Linza versus Linza, we're probably seeing this going to Chapter 5.
Yeah, I hope the game unpauses soon.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
This is not my fault. This is not a. This is not. I'm not dropping any frames. Nothing like that. What we're experiencing here is the recordings that were sent to me. So, Zalx, is it still playing for you?
I jumped to 3. It's about a minute into it and it starts replaying, but it looks like we're missing most of Chapter 2.
All right. Well, for the time being, I'm going to have to wait here and sit this one out. Sadly, I can't skip the video. But yeah, so
so this is an issue we're working with right now. I mean, you're seeing these things happen, which is it's a shame. But for the next one, which is the Diamond Bracket Best of 8, we're going to try and resolve as many issues as we can with this.
I'm not sure how we do resolve this without it being like a local sort of land thing. But
no, I mean,
unless we fund Frumple to buy a new computer.
I mean, obviously, there may be...
All right, back in the game here, though. Here comes the Ogre Brute.
There we go. Yep.
Yeah, going to bring him down to... It looks like Frumple... looks like Madly managed to play something like 2 KGP agents by the looks of it. Was on 1 attack and is now back up to 3. So that appears to be what's happened, right?
Yep, it seems so. I mean, Madly is on 15 health as well. It's pretty interesting what's happened. We can only conclude that there's been a few players. KPG most likely is responsible for those extra 2 AP bonuses there. Yeah,
well, we can kind of see his opponent's hand size. Once we won't see what cards are in it, but we can see his hand size on the opposite side of the board. There's like floating cards, and yeah, that'll give us some indication. Doesn't look like there's any cards in his hand. 3 cards, so yeah, most KGP agents, I would presume. Ogre Brute coming down, looking pretty good. Ooh. And he's going to use both his weapon charges on that, but still, you know, he's okay with doing that by the looks of it. Maybe he might consider swapping Fern with Ogre Brute to use up some of the durability, and the second charge of the weapon will be good on the Ogre Brute as well. And I'd be completely okay with that play as well. I think that would be absolutely not something he could do. And actually here it would have been very good against that Fremennik Crafter.
It would have, yeah.
Yeah, but either way, still want to get that one attack out. And, I see a lot of players not doing that, and I respect Frumple for getting that, reducing his opponent's attack down as soon as possible. I think that's really where most of the time Ogre Brute should be played, slot 1 on the chapter.
I don't know how I feel about his Fern play on chapter 3, though.
It doesn't look like it's going to hit anything.
Miss. Yeah. I thought... Is it froze again?
Yeah, it does seem to be doing that. I think running the game and recording at the same time might be a bit. I think that was the issue for Frumple. Fern not going to hit anything though, which is fairly sad for him. And with only one attack, isn't going to do too much. He's going to take a little bit of damage. Did have the Major Mary weapon. And interestingly, that Major Mary could have replaced his opponent's weapon. He could have played that on slot 1 and replaced the weapon guaranteed that his opponent had. But he wouldn't be. He'd be giving it. He'd be turning a 1/2 weapon into a 1/1 weapon, which still could be good. It would have worked against that spend effect. But perhaps he was thinking his opponent would equip a new weapon in slot 1.
Indeed.
Yeah, work order does come out, and
we are
nothing
seeing
else.
that work order. No, not much else is there in this turn.
Yeah.
It's quite a slow turn by the looks of it for Mastrfrumple.
Yeah, you're right. Nothing really here. Dust Devil's not going to be useful, right? I mean, he could... Well, it could be. No, it wouldn't. You'd have to Sergeant Slimetoes into it, but even then you wouldn't have enough attack, so, that's not too good. Perhaps he's a bit concerned about playing the Fern, as it, take a lot of damage. He wants to go into the final fight with as much health as possible, and maybe he's anticipating drawing those KGP agents to get his attack up. And but Fern could play it in slot 1 there. It wouldn't have been that effective. Work order, I think, a very safe play, and one I can respect is a reasoning for doing that.
I think it was a completely fine play. I mean, it's a slow turn for him, but it did what it wanted to do. Interesting fact though is Mastrfrumple does win this, or if Madly does win this, I believe they're up against you next. So at least we'll have one side recorded pretty well, even if there is some frame issues. We should be able to see them the remainder of the game.
Yeah, my recordings are usually okay. I got a pretty good PC, I like to think. Well, I'm producing this right now, so there's that. Looks like the South Sea Pillager did not pillage anything. Merchant would not be proud, sadly. Does not steal any gold. Actually, no, I think it stole 1 gold. He had a work order. Or did he steal 2? I'm not sure how much it stole.
The second one didn't steal anything. The first one stole 1 gold.
Right. That does find a KGP agent by the look of it, so he's going to be pleased about that. Going to go up to 2 attack, and that matches his opponent. He's going to be on the same attack value here. It looks like he wants to reduce his opponent with a Dust Devil as well. I absolutely respect that decision. And then getting the Slimetoes weapon for the final fight, absolutely the thing to do. And that might actually be exactly what he needs to win the game. That was considering just nothing in slot 1 suggests to me nothing for the rest of the chapter, right? There could be, we can't see it just yet. Yeah, open road.
It is an open road, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we're seeing an open road come down here for Madly, which may give Mastrfrumple the tempo he needs to take this round.
Oh, we do have Dwarven Miner into Dragon Longsword. Wasn't expecting that, but nice placement at the end there. This is the power of going second, right? You get the extra card throughout the course of the game, and you also here get that uncounterable final slot. That's 15 damage, and I think actually that might be a win for Madly there. That's 15 extra damage in the final fight, and now these attack changes look really insignificant, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. It's not going to do much for him, and Madly will take this this game, making it 2-1.
Yeah, I wonder who would have won had Madly gone in with 1 attack and the current health status versus his opponent with these 2 weapon charges plus the 3 attack. I think it could. I'm not sure. I can't do the math right now, but I think it would have been close.
Aye. It would have been really close because Madly would eventually drop to 1 attack, meaning he'd have to hit him a good, I think it was 13, 14 times while he'd be on 2. So,
but Madly picking up the win there. The problem with Dwarven Miner and D-Long in the deck is that, how much equipment is there really in your deck? I mean, I think we saw a full Tetsu out of him earlier, so it definitely synergizes with that. Clearly he's got the D-Long in there. I'm not sure how many copies of that there are, but how many other equipments are there really that you'd want to buy? I suppose Tetsu Katana, but if he's running D-Long, does he run Tetsu Katana? And even then, it's not a matter of having a Tetsu Katana, it's a matter of which do you run. If you're running Tetsu Katanas, you probably don't want to run D-Longs. And, that Dwarven Miner can jank your hand up and, could can hurt you, the rest of the game before that chapter, I suppose. But in this particular case, that D-Long was what won him the game, and a fairly close match actually. I think especially considering the extra attack on that final chapter with the final Dust Devil. But that D-Long coming in as a clutch victory for him, and that's the sort of the tanky Linzer in a nutshell.
So we're coming down to what may be our final game, as Madley is currently on match point. He has Ozan and Raptor left, I believe, whereas Mastrfrumple still has 3 of his 4 legends available for him to play.
Yeah, so he won with Ariane, I believe, is that right?
Yep.
So what does Frumple pick is the question. Looks like he's pretty confident with his Raptor, considering the win rates there. You said his opponent no longer has Ariane, no longer has Linzer, so the classes to think about here is... Madley could be queuing with Raptor and could be queuing with Ozan. So your pick here is a class or a legend that is actually effective against one of those two. What do you think, Zelx?
I think we might see him come in with a Raptor, given its highest win rate percentage.
And I think it is a stronger legend overall, by popular opinion at the moment. Certainly as the metagame shifts and as just changes happen generally. That will change, but at the current meta game, I do think that Ariane and Raptor are stronger, and I think that could play an important role in this. So I think Raptor is a good choice. I think it does obviously the Raptor mirror. It does. I can't say it does well in the Raptor mirror, but certainly it's a mirror matchup. That's okay, good odds, and I think it does very well against Ozan as well. I think it's actually very good against Ozan. So we'll have to see. Have to see what he opens with. Going into game number 4, though. Yeah. Are you ready, Zelx? All right. 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to game number 4 in this best of 5 series between Mastrfrumple and Madley. Looks like Frumple going to go with Ozan.
So, interesting.
Yeah, we'll have to see what kind of Ozan he has in mind here. And Madley going to go with Raptor. And I just said that I do think Raptor is very good against Ozan. So this could spell the end here. Match point for Madley. And I do think this style deck is not particularly good, considering the amount of health and armor that Madley can get. But, if Ozan gets off to a good start, particularly with that safe spot, 2 save spots, then you can certainly see there is potential for Ozan to beat down the Raptor, but he needs to do it quick. And often it's difficult for Ozan because they spend time generating gold in the early game for those weapons, or they have to draw lots of cards to make sure they have the combos available to them, like the strike cards that go with the weapons, because you can't play one without the other. But here, KG Pay Agent into safe spot into the Ketzek for 8 damage. And a donation there, nice. Get the gold draw coming on. And I think in this matchup, donation very strong because
donation. Those 3 cards are going to really help him, especially considering he's discarding 2 of his 3 remaining in hand.
Yeah, does discard something. I'm not sure what that was. It was an emerald of some description. Let's see what he discards here. Sergeant Slime says.
That may not be that important for him. I think he wants to try and keep hold of his second safe spot if he can.
Yeah, and he has done that.
Yes, he has, yes.
Yeah. So safe spot in the Ketzek here, going to do 8. And donation here, a reason I think it's good. I mean, it's a fairly good card overall, but certainly in this matchup, the Raptor probably won't be doing very much with the gold, or at least some of the most competitive Raptors that I've seen. They don't have that much. They don't really do much with gold. They need some gold for the monolith chambers, but outside of that, not going to be overly useful. In fact, it does enable the monolith chambers. That's worth pointing out. Yeah. But overall, it's not nearly as bad as giving Ariane gold or something.
Yeah, definitely. You don't want to give Ariane gold, especially if it's one attack Ariane.
Fern, Major Zamrock, and Snapshot.
Interesting choice. Interesting card draw there. A lot of the chats there is discussing how you pronounce KPG agent.
Yeah, KGP. But you know what we're talking about. I don't think it matters overly much.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I think KPG fits it much better. But that's just me. Right, so in his hand here, he's got a Fern. Oh, he's got quite a good choice here of what he wants to do. He could go Snapshot into Skeletal Champion into Strike if he wanted to, or into Snapshot into Strike. But it looks like he's going for the Fern into Troll Chucker into... Is that going to face tank fire?
He's gonna, but he's got 1 extra attack, so he's gonna 2 hits it. I actually quite like this extra attack gain. I wouldn't normally put it in Ozan, but I think here this deck looks very well built around it with these 3 health creatures. Worth pointing out that, things like Troll Chucker, or sorry, I mean, like, things like Moena aren't going to see play, so, that 2 health creature that's very good in this kind of matchup, this kind of deck, you can't run because it's a diamond, but 4 damage off a Troll Chucker, and the 1 gold there enables stuff like Snapshot, and stuff like Strike does 4 damage, it's something you can't really argue with. I'm not sure on its overall effectiveness, but certainly here, working out very, very well. And here, the Fern, a very good card in this matchup. Didn't do as much damage as it potentially could, things like Jad, but, a nice Fern. And then, again, a Snapshot here for, whoa, he lost his gold to the South Sea Pillager, is that right?
Yes, he did. That was unfortunate
wow.
for Mastrfrumple there, because he missed out on a possible of 7 damage.
Merchant would be proud.
Yes, he would. Merchant would be proud.
With his pillaging.
Pirates. Yes, pirates are pillaging away.
But, Snapshot would have been so good. Now he doesn't have the gold to do anything. And,
he's going to have to go Joga Shaman, isn't he?
Yeah, what do you do? You can one-hit it. Hope he draws cards during the turn. Yeah, that's true. You've got the 9 damage for it, but... No, you'll lose the... Oh, you can't do that! No. You'll lose the weapon, dude! I'm sure... Will he notice that? That's the thing.
He should realise. He has to realise this. It's gonna be so much damage. Oh, hold on. He's thinking about putting a Slime Tons in there.
Yeah.
Just to try and soak up the damage. And he's going for a Strike at the end.
Because he doesn't have gold right now. I think I might play Jorga Shaman and then KGP, then Sergeant Slimetoes, then Mage of Zamra.
That's exactly what I would have done.
But, maybe this is calculated. I don't know. I feel like it is... objectively a misplay here, and now that he loses that weapon, he's probably not going to be too happy about that. But 6/1 weapon, sadly didn't get any value out of it because that Snapshot was denied, and that goes to show the power of the South Sea Pillager, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, even though it's not played much in the meta right now, if gold becomes more relevant, which it may do with the new card additions, we may see more and more pirates.
More and more pirates. Well, pirates have been announced as a thing, I suppose. So, yeah, that's absolutely the case. But Restore Potion and nothing else coming out of Madly. Interestingly enough, the gold from Donation did enable that Restore Potion, and it's an interesting card. I think it's okay. So I think it's certainly good health and card draw. Obviously, that's what it does. But I don't know. It suggests to me that he has more gold draw in the deck than the normal Raptors do, which might mean has less attack gain or something, sacrifices something else. I wonder. I'd like to see the list because I don't know if it's necessarily the Raptor. I'm not sure what kind of a Raptor. Certainly an attack building one, like most. But yeah. Fern though. He's can't argue with what he's. Go ahead.
I was gonna say we have a Fern coming into a Spider into a Snapshot. That could be a fair amount of damage coming into Madly. Yeah. It seems like a very solid Ozan deck.
Yeah, it does, but he's playing all the. The problem is he hasn't been able to play all these cards, has he? Like in the most effective ways. Like that Snapshot was denied, and then the 6/1 weapon didn't do very much. I like this Fern here because it's going to hit the slot 2, and his opponent is on 5 attack, and that suggests to me that he might want to 2-hit a Dagannoth Sentinel, or maybe his opponent equips like something like a Sergeant Slimetoes weapon, or kills a Count Draenor, and this slot 2 could be a Jad. So a very nice Fern placement, aiming for that slot 2 where a big creature is more likely to be. Does only hit the South Sea Pillager, but still a lot of damage, right? Or at least
that South Sea Pillager once again denies the second Snapshot. Oh. My God!
Oh wow, Pillager doing
placement.
Work. Yeah,
brilliant placement by Madly there. Very well played.
Well, just very well included generally.
Proud. Yeah, I completely agree. That's 4 pirates I think we've seen in this Raptor deck of his. Very interesting, and has done a lot of work for him. Denied a lot of damage coming in.
Yeah, I think in this
overall.
I think in a tournament format where you know what your opponent's classes are remaining, you can include sort of cards like South Sea Pillager that are then more likely to be effective. Ooh. And I think as a result of that, it's a calculated decision. And certainly in a tournament, those kind of cards can be much better than they are on ladders. So respect his decision to do that. It looks like he's going to kill a Skeleton Champion for the 6/1 weapon. Can he finish the game out though? His opponent very low on health. He needs to be playing Colromancers. He absolutely. Needs to be doing things like that to get back in this.
Definitely, it's an interesting play we have here.
I'm not sure about the save spot. He's got the weapon already, and
I would have. Yeah, exactly. I think I would have bar crawled first, and then safe spotted into the
bar crawled.
Yeah, man, bar crawled. Whatever you want, bar fight. Yeah.
Yeah.
Into the safe shot into the.
I think you mean bounty hunt.
Oh my God. Oh my god, yes.
Yeah.
Sad times when I can't read cards.
Yeah, I think...
But yeah,
Or he could have
being
just
able
killed
to
the
strike.
skeleton champion without the save spot, had the weapon to do that, and you could have done that, saved that save spot, or not use it at all. But here, might as well play all his cards. It is Chapter 5 after all. But by the looks of it, oh, no,
You just
he's
take it
lost.
down.
Yeah, he's done enough damage to kill him, despite the Coloromancer. And
And the fledgling as well.
yeah,
Fledgling and Chloromancer this turn.
yeah, but very, very close there.
Very close,
4 HP remaining, and just one more heal out of Madley, and that would have taken him up to win that one there. So can't argue the results. The score is 2-2. Close series.
I think he did pretty well there. Like I said, the only point I could probably say is at the end, if he did play the strike card first, he would have been able to strike with 2 weapons rather than base and a weapon, which would have pushed a bit more damage in, but it doesn't matter at the end. As you see, he did win.
Yeah, he did win there.
Very good play.
I think worth pointing out that you could have, objectively speaking, gotten more damage out of that turn with the cards that he had.
Yeah, definitely.
Just from order and placements there, but in a tournament setting where I was really nervous for my games, and that actually I think it did affect my plays. I think in one of my games I had Fern in my opening hand, and I decided I needed to mulligan that away because it wouldn't be good. I don't know. In the end, it probably would have been very good, but not the point right now. But does still win the game and brings the series up to 2-2, shaping up to be a very close one.
Yeah, I think it was a pretty damn good match. So yeah, I'd say we're going into our final match here. It's the first game I think we've had so far in the Ruby brackets have gone the 5 games.
Yeah, best of 5 series here. Yeah. All 5 games. This is a match point now for both players. The deciding game. I think we are ready to get this underway. Zaux, let's get into this final game. Let's see how this series resolves. Are you ready? In 3, 2, 1. Here we go. I wonder what decks they're going to pick. That is the interesting thing. With that only 2 legends remaining to each of them, I think at this point, with these limiting constraints, it puts a really interesting sort of I want to say facet on the tournament. I'm lacking other words. It's hovering over Linza. He's going to cancel the challenge and look at the deck by the looks of it. Get rid of your friends list. Well. Come on, go. And what is in this deck though? Is he going to tech it?
It might actually take it. Like we talked about this, didn't we, briefly? I think we're looking at doing something like this next time, where we allow players to build their decks pre-advance each game, so it gives them a chance to tech against what they've seen. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. It looks like he's going for Raptor.
Yeah, it does go for Raptor. I think
it's a mirror.
Raptor mirror incoming. So this is our final game. This is the match point. We do have a Raptor mirror. Madley's Raptor, which we've seen so far. The interesting South Sea pillagers in it that I don't think are actually going to be quite as useful in this match. Actually, they might be. We see the full Tetsu being played here. That suggests to me that Mastrfrumple does have more gold generation in the deck than I'm used to seeing. And certainly South Sea pillager going to make that card a lot harder to get out and really could interact with these monolith chambers. Is he has it. Going to open with White Wolf into the monolith chamber there, and then I suspect a Void Brawler and a KGP agent as well. But then, might not want... There's cards that you might not want to discard. Perhaps he's thinking about it. Do I need to play that KGP agent, don't I? I personally would, I think. He's going to play it, I'd play the KGP agent before the Void Brawler, I think. You want to put that Void Brawler at the very end of the turn, because it does block things like Fern, if there is one. Unlikely to see that, but also it means that you're going to guaranteed have higher attack, so if something like Ogre Brew comes out. But, very minor things that aren't actually going to matter in this matchup, and ultimately not matter really very much at all anyway. Opening with the White Wolf here, as he does need that gold for the monolith chamber. But, both players... Yeah. Never mind.
Just to clarify, if anyone's wondering, the reason we allowed people to swap cards out this time is because we didn't let them finalize lists beforehand because of all the changes that were happening with games.
Yeah, we don't want people to submit deck lists. Maybe in the future, and I do think submitting deck lists is probably a good idea for future tournaments. But for this one, you can just rebuild your deck on the fly before the game, which is interesting. But I'm not sure if it's that good overall for future tournaments. Certainly for this one, I think that's because you can't. I think resubmitting deck lists is a lot of work for every chapter and all of these things. Every bracket rather, not chapter.
Yeah. With the game changing as it is right now, if you submit a deck list with a card that didn't get changed beforehand, it's kind of unfair to make them play with that recently changed card. So what we're going to do in terms of just this tournament, because if the next tournament is around in brackets, and if we do it, it might be after open beta. So at that point, the cards are going to be more finalized, and at that point, we will be taking deck list submissions in. But for this tournament, since it's closed beta and since there's a lot of changes going on throughout the game, it's a reason why we ban diamond cards as well. It's just to make sure it's all fair.
So it looks like he's going to be opening with a Dagannoth Sentinel there. Has 5 attacks, so he can 2-hit that. Going to go up to 6, and then 2-hit another Dagannoth Sentinel, go up to 7, and then that's enough attack to kill the Jad. And I respect that decision. I don't really think you need to be playing around with things like Fern and Ogre Brute too often. But you know, always worth thinking about in that tournament format. You know, something that does decrease his attack by 1 or increase anything's health is going to hurt him quite a bit here. I'd be tempted to put the Jad at the very end of the turn to block things like Fern with the Dagannoth Fledgling just before. But yeah, absolutely, because you're going to take a lot of damage from these Sentinels over the course of the game, but still probably not going to matter, and ultimately, you know, does get those 3 cards down that buff his attack here. Yeah, nothing coming out from Madly that's going to interact with these. A nice clean turn, gonna, you know, curve up nicely with his attack just to kill all the creatures in 2 hits or 1 hit, whatever he was planning to do there.
A very strong turn from Mastrfrumple by the looks of it, getting his AP up to 8 is very nice. I mean, if we see something like a Torkash, that's 16 base damage coming in. Very, very nice.
Yeah, I'm not sure if either. I haven't seen anything, certainly in terms of Tokash. Certainly seems to be a very, very highly included card in the more recent decks that have been coming out after these games were played. I think Tokash was freshly nerfed when these games were played, and people weren't playing. You know, people didn't really want to play around with that for tournament games, as you know, people really only to a tournament you're only going to take the decks that you're confident with, and people hadn't realized Tokash was still very, very strong. Yeah, it's absolutely very strong. Is definitely a very good include in Raptor considering all the extra base attack. But you know, you're absolutely right. If he has it, can do so much damage, right? 16 damage there, and if he with a Dark Beast, you know, to get that 3 extra into the Tokash, you know, that's like what we're looking at, more than 20 damage.
Would have been interesting to see. I don't know about you, but I would have been tempted to play the Calphite last turn.
Yeah, the emissary
instead of the Fledgling. Yeah, because if he did, it would have caught the weapon, and he would have took 15 from Jad.
Wow, yeah, you're like, it would have done so much work there. But you know, hindsight is 20/20, and you know, it doesn't work out. Does play the I think, you know, if you're going second like Frumple is, those kind of risks are certainly things you can do. If you're going first, I like to keep weapon removal because it's you know, you have the flexibility to destroy a weapon if they take it through to the next chapter. But you know, here does use that weapon up, and I still think it's worth using the Calphite emissary. You know, we're getting towards the end of the game, and still removes, you know, a large amount of armor.
Completely correct. I think either play was fine. I mean, you can't really predict the weapon. You couldn't have predicted Jad.
Yeah.
It's a fine turn. I mean, as you can see, he's stacking up his armor now. So that -5 armor may end up being quite valuable at the end as well.
Yeah. Would it have affected the Jad? I'm not sure. I didn't remember because he is going second. So it would have done. Okay.
Yes, it would have.
Look at that.
Got rid of his slime
beast.
tones. Ooh. Coming in for 25 armor there.
Yeah, 20. Very, very good in the mirror matchup. And I'm not sure if this is a separate deck now, but it certainly affected. No, it probably is the same deck.
It's the Southsea Pillager.
Yeah, that extra armor is going to be so useful in the final fight, right? They're fairly similar in terms of their attack values, and that extra armor just gives him, you know, a few more extra hits, and is really, really going to allow him to, you know, to make the use of his base, even if it isn't his base attack, that is, even if it's not quite as high. Let's see what he draws. Currently Monolith and Ceradim and Brew. So this is clearly a Court Beast as well deck. Does he find the Court Beast gap? Yes, he does. There it is. And has the Frenzy as well. Is it going to be useful? He's only got 4 armor.
Not yet, but it might be in the future. I'd be tempted to play the Calphite Mercenary again here.
Yeah, or
not just to get rid of the 1/1, but just to damage his armor as well.
I don't know. I mean, certainly you could do that, but again, like you could, you know, keep that for the final fight. You are going second, and
that's very true.
Yeah, I think like, equally though, they're both plays you ought to consider. I'm not sure what I'd do here, but I don't play Raptor as much as other players. Certainly have been playing it a lot more recently. I need to get good as that for. But Corporeal Beast incoming in this particular matchup. Court Beast is very, very strong, as each Raptor isn't really going to do much to each other's health. I believe now Tokash is a thing in Raptor decks. I don't think Court Beast will be nearly as common because you need to have high health for this to be effective. But you know, those decks, even those decks with the Tokashes won't be using the Tokash until they want to kill you in a single turn. So most likely you're going to be stuck at 30 until they decide to kill you, or they have the means to kill you. But either way, both players now, you know, fairly even because they have each managed to get out a Corp. Sadly, these Monolith Chambers not nearly as useful as they are early game.
No.
And you know, they still worth it though, I think.
Yeah, definitely. We see a dragon longsword at the end there. So he was right to keep hold of the.
Yeah, he does have a
Yeah.
D-Long, and that, has the Calphite Emissary in hand, right? So Madley will get a guaranteed one use out of it because he is going first, but that Calphite Emissary going to be very, very useful for killing
Definitely.
that. I think, he greeted him, which might give away the weapon destruction, but I don't know. You can't really. Maybe you just greet when you don't have it as well. That'd be funny.
He drew the second Corp Beast as well.
Second Court Beast, that's really
That's
good,
going
right?
to be really good. And he also
Yeah.
got Darrox, but that's not going to play much effect here.
Your
What do you
next-
do here then?
I think that says your next enemy loses health equal to half your armor, so that's 10 damage, and then you can one-hit the Corp. So I think I would play Calphite Emissary in slot 1 there, absolutely. But, not going to do that. Looks like he's going to Frenzy into Corp Beast.
I think he might put it at the end, to be honest with you. I mean,
Yeah?
I think, you're going into the final fight, maybe he's thinking, I can get enough gold to equip another weapon. Or maybe he's just going to take his weapon through. He's only got 4 cards in hand.
Yeah,
So
you might
it's
not play
completely
anything.
dependent on what he wants to do.
That's true.
Yeah.
Oh, the
There
1/1
we
weapon!
go.
It's going to replace...
Wait,
That is unfortunate for him. Maybe he wasn't realizing the weapon, unless he has another D-Long, but, he has to get gold, and I can't see any cards coming up, so loses the D-Long there. Frenzy's pretty
First
cool. I've
time-
never seen it played,
First time
actually.
I've seen the Frenzy, yeah. I was
Yeah.
going to say, the first time
Whoa,
I've seen the
that's a
Frenzy
funky-
animation.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
think that South Sea Pirate may have just cost him the game.
I think you might be right. That 15 extra damage would have certainly been very relevant. And now it's a 1/1 weapon. That's not nearly as useful, and the gold didn't do very much there. Does manage to take out the 1/1 weapon, and I respect his decision to put the Calphite Emissary in the final slot. I think I would have played it in slot 1, but there's never any one correct play. And again, that you as second, you do have that guaranteed final uncounterable action where you remove their weapon, guaranteed, and always very powerful there. But this game now just going to spank each other in the face, and turns out 15 health. Look at that. And he's going first. If Madley had kept that D-Long, he could have won. There was a Calphite Emissary, of course, but
There was the emissary, of course.
but
yes.
worth pointing out that he did have 15 health and would have that 15 extra damage would have killed him if there was no Calphite Emissary.
That was a really close match.
Yeah, it was.
Actually, all games have been really good.
This was a close series. It's this is all 5 games being played.
2-3 to Mastrfrumple. So he advances to the next next bracket.
Let's
the
take a
diamond
look at the bracket, shall we? So, Mastrfrumple here beat Lemony Tang in the Emeralds there, beating Madley as we can see, and then going through to the diamond bracket. So that's how this tournament will progress. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Pretty good game. Not gonna lie, from both players there, they played really well. There's not much else that could have been done there. I think besides just a few ordering.
Yeah, I think we did see
them as misplays.
I would class them as misplays. There was some, objectively speaking, plays where you could have maximized more damage out of the turn, and things like that. Not necessarily just decision making, just objective. I think things like that. But overall, very well played games, I think. And those kind of things do happen. Certainly seen misplays in other competitive tournaments, and
Exactly.
you're always very nervous when you're playing your tournament games. I certainly was, and I think that did affect my game. I think Unforgiven said he was nervous in his as well, and even this is the one of the first tournaments you want to do well, make a name for yourself, perhaps, and I think nerves can get the better of you sometimes.
I completely agree. When I was playing against Unforgiven, it was quite a difficult match. I think in the end it was 2-1 to him, but it was nerve-wracking. It's how it is, and I think some of these matchups we've seen so far are really difficult. We've seen some really high-class players go against each other, and it's just how it is with random seeding. It's the luck of the draw.
Yeah, that's right. And I believe you seeded the brackets live on stream, so mitigate any of that.
The brackets live on stream just to if I was gonna fake the brackets, I wouldn't put myself against Unforgiving.
Maybe you did though, to make sure. Maybe you had a vested interest in some other player winning. I don't know. Anyway, the point is that this series is over. It does go to Mastrfrumple, a very close 5-game series there. And just to finally point out, this was what we're looking at the stats here. Yeah, we're aware of the incorrectness on Madley's 58% wins with Raptor and 52% loss, which is somehow over 100%. But that was one of the last, I believe, images made. The others are correct. The win rate is correct, and if you can do the math, you can work out the loss rate. But the win rates are correct. But that does conclude the series. Thank you very much for watching that one. We do have more coming up though, so do not go anywhere. We'll be back after a quick break. We're going to grab something to drink, and you can do the same, and do come back in just a moment. This is an excellent time to do whatever you need to do, so don't go anywhere. We will be right back.